Well, happy Wednesday. Bitcoin 105.4. We're going to start off on the short time frame, the 4-hour chart. There's a few early signs of some potential patterns shaping up. So we're going to look at that first and foremost on the 4-hour. And that'll be our primary focus. And then we'll also check in on the weekly, see how that's doing, and zoom out a little bit. So let's get to it. So here's our obviously line in the sand for now for the bulls. You could see where we came up yesterday, and during our discussion yesterday, we said this is kind of where it should hold the line, and the odds are there, right? Previous support, obvious, new resistance. That's the odds every time. Okay, so now the potential pattern. Do we see it yet? Right? If you said head and shoulders potential, you are correct. So we have to draw our neckline first. And remember, necklines can be a little skewed. They don't have to be perfectly horizontal. Some people get that wrong. So your diagonal neckline, now where the neckline breaks is where the most current price action is. So that's also where you need to do your measured moves, just FYI. Some people get that wrong as well. We'll take like the measured move from the top, which you're supposed to do, but then they'll drag it straight down, which you're really not supposed to do with diagonal, right? Because you want to know where it's going to break and confirm, and that's where you take it from. So you get your little cursor, right? This can be in handy, right? And where would this confirm? Likely somewhere in this area, if it's going to play out. So you would take a measured move from the top straight down as you can, right to where the neckline is, right? And just confirm your neckline, put on closing prices. Yep, that looks pretty good. So once we break this, that's the rough target. Now these are rough targets. Then you can either copy and paste or just move that. So let's say wherever it breaks. And remember, I like kind of two confirming candles. So if we were to break down here and close two consecutive 4-hour candles under 104, this has a higher probability of confirming. And the projected target would be around 96.5 area. Well, let's zoom out and see where that would take us. Well, right to our green zone. Previous kind of range highs would make sense. We could do that. On the weekly perspective, it might just look like a wick, which I would anticipate, at least for now. But this doesn't have to play out at all. So let's say it doesn't. Then what can we expect? Well, typically, if the neckline holds on these kind of patterns, again, we're only on the 4-hour. We're going to zoom out to the daily in a minute, and it's still a little early. But let's say this holds. Maybe the low is already in. Typically, when you see the neckline hold, you go back to range highs pretty quick. So we would have a couple checks and balances in place here over the next couple of days, the rest of this week. One would be take out that high, 108, 109, somewhere in there. We were talking about the 109 area yesterday. Then we just kind of march up the ladder here. So these would be pretty big achievements for the bulls to overtake. And if they take out this one, I mean, it's really high probability that we're going back to price discovery sooner than later based on the neckline holding after kind of forming the left, the right, and kind of breaking back up here. So if you can't see this, right, this is potentially, right, certainly if we're, Friday, Saturday going into the weekly close, we're still around 104, I would give this a little bit higher probability. But to the flip side of that, right, if price action on Saturday, Sunday is 107 or higher, then we can just, put that to bed, right? So just watching out. That's what I'm seeing right now. Now let's go back a couple more steps and look at this on the daily. So on the daily, you can still kind of see it right there, right? Potentially, but this kind of right shoulder is still really early. This could easily go into maybe next Monday, Tuesday, maybe even a week from now before we kind of have a deciding factor. And the neckline on the daily, as you can see, is a little bit slightly different here, right? You can kind of drag that up. Again, easiest way to do it is just on closing line price. Get your adjustments. right? Make sure there's no blue line below that line. And then you can turn it back on to the regular candles. There's your neckline. So again, if we get two closing daily candles below that diagonal line, the neckline, then same thing. Target's still around this green zone here. And if we look at this on the daily, well, we've got a lot of price interaction. Look back over here around 97, 96, 95 to 96, 97. In that area would be the target here. And it's still a big if, right? We have our climbs up the ladder here on the 4 hour. Initial just resistance off of this zone, right? Swing lows, new swing highs. That's typical. Still too early to call, but definitely it's there, right? It's starting to not become such a ghost here. We're starting to visualize it at this point. So we're being aware of that. Now, if we go down, again, I think that's healthy. The longer we can last before going back to new all-time highs, I think that's really extending our cycle. Every week, like I said yesterday, I think I said every week we spend under price discovery mode is, I think, extending us 2 to 3 weeks on the back end, which will help our altcoins. Again, if Bitcoin remains calm, you will see altcoins still continue to slightly outperform it. And we're kind of still seeing that again today. Bitcoin dominance, slightly down today. It takes about a week or two of this kind of same thing before alts really become comfortable and start to take off in a bigger way. And we'll see that if Bitcoin obviously doesn't do one of these in red and go down to, 97. And even if we do get that, head and shoulders confirming, and let's say 3, 4, 5 days from now, it doesn't mean it has to be immediate, free fall. If that happens, Bitcoin dominance is going nowhere but higher, right? If we get a red 10, 12% candle, dominance is, going to stick around in the 60s. If, however, we can kind of just ebb and flow around here for another few days and then maybe lift back up again, that'll be really good. So here's our kind of our pivot level for the 4 hour, for the shorter time frame over the next 3 to 7 days, right? That's the level. Take out that low close, 107, 108. Again, if you see price like 108, 109, much higher probabilities of back to price discovery sooner than later. And sooner than later, what's that? A couple weeks, right? Doesn't necessarily mean, hours after we see 108. Doesn't mean that we're going to be at 115 in the next 9 minutes, okay? All right, so that's that. We're still in the blue sky zone, right? This is the light blue. We're in the unicorn zone. We're still good. No worries up here, remember. And even if so, we just come back down to the green grass. Nothing. Who cares about grass, right? We're still good down here. So even if this plays out, it could get a little bit volatile and spook some people, but we know better. We're in the green zone. Right now, we're still in the stratosphere of space up here. We're above the blue sky. A-okay. All right, let's zoom out now. Let's look at the weekly. What do we want to see? Well, we want to see what I want to see is a test of the EMA8 with a wick. And would we get it if we got the head and shoulders? Of course. The EMA8 is at 101. Right? Well, remember our projection here on the shorter time frame head and shoulders would put us in the middle of the green zone, remember? So we could actually end up testing like the EMA14 like we did back here. EMA14 right now is at 97.6 in rising. Or guess what? If it takes a couple more weeks, which I'd be okay with, look at the EMA21. Where would that be? Exactly right there. So we could end up doing something like this. Be ultra bullish, refuel, and then, we're just way higher than this price in December, but this would be, it would probably be more along the lines of this one here, right? We were just, Ferrari has gotten not only refueled, but has put on a 17 turbochargers at this point, if we were to do something like this. we would have rocket fuel to probably 150, 175 for Bitcoin, and we'd probably see alts doing extremely well as well. If this scenario plays out and we do end up kind of refueling all the way down to the 21. If we don't, right, I think it's still good if we kind of just hold the red up here, right? If the over time, if we don't go down as far and we kind of hold the line right in here, that's still good. But what I wouldn't want to see is just like a tap and go, right? That not quite enough fuel. It would help, right? It'd be better than just continuing. But I still would have doubts about reaching Q4 if we are to just, let's say the first week of July, again, we're like way the hell up here. So one of these paths, we prefer the more right, the better. Right? We obviously don't have to worry about this one anymore. At least we don't think so. I mean, I guess we could end up ripping to green any given day, but we can count this one out, at least for now. So now we're on, could we get this one? We'll know within the next couple of weeks, I would guess. I would prefer this one. I think would be my preferred path. This would take us down to the yellow and then just immediate pedal to the metal. That's what I would want to do. Altcoins would go berserk in this upwards movement right here. After refueling down here and holding in the green zone, we would go ballistic. And then pure alt season starts somewhere way the hell up here on Jupiter. We could put some other planets in there and make some jokes, but we'll keep to family friendly. Okay, so that's the weekly. Do we need to look at the monthly? Probably not. It's pretty damn early. Nothing to look at there, right? But remember, like if we wick down here on the weekly, look at where that would refuel, right? That would look pretty healthy, actually. A long lower, imagine a little wick here, and then we end up closing June like back up here. Look how much of a bullish candle that would look. It would actually look like, April's candle, like something exactly like that. Copy paste for June. I think that would work. That'd be really bullish. So that's that. Any other questions on this? I really just wanted to focus on kind of the price action of going on the shorter time frames, just because we're kind of slow and steady right now. Nothing huge is going on, nothing major. And especially, I'd probably start to give it a little bit more credit here for that head and shoulders if we close back under the 21. Now, as of now, we're still good. We just did 1, 2 closes and then back up. See how we're above the 21 EMA right now? But we're getting sandwiched between the 14 and the 8 above and the 21 below. So something's got to give here. And if we start closing back down here, then we could easily kind of break here and come back down and kind of revisit down here, which it's still, again, it's okay. Alts might falter for a little bit. No big deal. We'll recover and we'll be able to, visit Q4, which is what we want. Q4 or Q1 2026 would be even better. The longer we can make this cycle last, the higher altcoins will go, the bigger the market cap can get. The quicker the Bitcoin gets back to price discovery, the less time altcoins are going to have, in my book. So the longer we can delay it, the better in the long run. And right now, we're just kind of waiting to see what Bitcoin does day over day. Questions, thoughts, comments, let me know.